Hey guys, welcome to my channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei fall in love with Grayfia Lucifugus part 1. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video and also share this video to your friends. Let's start this video. The beat of the rain could be heard pelting on the windows whilst violent winds swept through the streets on a depressive night in Quo when Issei slowly awoke from his forced slumber. Issei was in this predicament because he, together with Rias and the rest of her peerage, was utterly demolished by Razor Phoenix. Together they managed to defeat every piece with the exception of Razor, which was already far more than was expected from the inexperienced king's peerage. When Issei was defeated and Razor wanted to close his eyes permanently, Rias gave up with tears in her eyes as she knew it was now all over. As he was reliving the last memories he could recount, small pearly tears found their way along his cheek, dripping on his balled fists. He could only imagine how Rias' cries and sobs were drowned by the chime of the bells in the underworld, how completely devastated she was that she had to spend her life with someone that didn't see her as a girl but as his property. Issei cursed his weakness in the starlit silence as he kept whispering, "I'm sorry, Baku," like a mantra. Slowly he moved himself to sit straight, his torn muscles throbbed painfully when he shakingly stood up on his 2 feet and walked towards the window. "If only we won," Issei whispered into the night when he opened the window and looked up. The moon shone upon the billions of droplets that cried with him for the pain and suffering she would have to go through now. "Pain, the catalyst of all evil," Issei softly said out loud. He still remembered the night before, how she carved open the bleeding wounds that were left there by Raynare. Even so, Issei was happy that he was saved by her and could live on with new friends, though deep inside of his heart, so very, very deep that the existence of the feeling would almost be non-existent, he was glad that the person that hurt him was in misery herself. How he remembered the moment where Rias tried to take advantage of him, the moment she left a permanent scar on his heart. However, before it could get any worse, she appeared. Issei's breath left his body when he saw her, those steely silver eyes that haunted his mind ever since exploring the depths of them, the vast emptiness that hid behind them reached out to him, felt out to him, whether conscious or unconscious he did not know. She might have tried to hide it, but the look in her liquid silver eyes showed him that she knew of heart-wrenching betrayal as well. Even though his heart was literally punctured not too long ago, it ached for her as her depths of misery were far deeper than his own, like a bottomless pit where not even light could escape. How strange the days suddenly were after meeting this woman who was so much like himself, but only used a different mask. His perverseness dried up and spent the days training in solitude on the mountain, away from the rest of Rias' peerage, which was the only positive thing that happened to him the past weeks. "Don't beat yourself up, partner," a deep voice from within his left arm suddenly said into the lonesome night. "Ddraig," Issei sadly replied, "I'm sorry that I'm no good." "It's all right, partner, I suppose I'm at fault as well," Ddraig answered the downtrodden boy. His current partner was an emotional mess who acted like he only worked towards looking at as many breasts as possible. If he had been firmer with the boy and if he had spoken to him about his fears, he might have already reached balance breaker. Dragon pride is very inconvenient at times. "Ever since that devil princess pushed you away, you have trained relentlessly and grown far stronger than you were before," Ddraig encouragingly said as best as he could, "not to mention that you're very close to it already," Ddraig thought as he looked at the boy whose spirit was slightly lifted. "Still, we were defeated by that stupid Yakitori," Issei sighed out loud. "Even if I don't show it, I still feel bad for Baku that she has to marry him." Ddraig growled angrily. He hadn't forgotten the petty devil questioning his power, so he didn't relish in the fact that his partner would have to be subservient to him. He was about to tell Issei to escape and run to the Forgotten Dragonlands when he felt magic gathering in the room. "Someone's coming," Ddraig said and quieted down, ready to act at any sign of danger. Just like Ddraig said it would, a small red magic circle with the Grimoire symbol lit up the room a moment later. Issei turned around and saw a familiar figure appear when the magic circle died out. Slowly everything around him had stopped again like the first time, the beat of his heart, the pink color on his cheeks, the focus of his eyes, and the pump of his lungs. Thankfully it all resumed a second later, but much more violently than previously. There she was, the one that occupied his thoughts ever since meeting her. She stood regally and silent before him in all her grace, like the first time. She was dressed like a common maid, though her beautiful appearance made her look like a princess in the night. Which was when she tipped her face up into the light. Issei thought, "Ah, yes, just as beautiful as the first time I saw her." Through the moonlit silence, Issei could see her silver eyes showing emptiness and a sliver of loneliness, yet there was something that sparked with a warmth which kept her eyes from being cold. Issei looked at the silent maid who was staring at him intriguingly like she was solving a puzzle about him and his uncommon behavior. Her neutral expression never changed as her deep red lips slowly separated and the sound of her melodious voice could be heard calmly resonating in the room. "Hudu Issei-sama," only 2 words breathed out from his lips as he was completely mesmerized by the sound of her voice. "Grayfia-san, hold on, what is this, what's happening, my mind can't catch up to Baku's actions," Issei shouted in his mind as Rias suddenly appeared in the middle of the night in his bedroom. "Hurry, go to the bed, I will get ready for it now, Issei," Rias hassled him while taking her uniform off. "Be Baku, this is," he shouted as she was calmly taking off all of her clothes. Issei began to panic. Even a horny student like him would get confused when a beautiful girl like Rias would suddenly appear and say something like, "Let's have sex." But most of all, Issei's heart began to throb painfully as she reminded him of Raynare right now. Rias, who only has her panties on, took a huge breath and walked towards him. She saw the distressed look on his face and asked, "Eyes, aren't I good enough?" "No, absolutely not," he quickly replied, "it's you." "I thought about all sorts of things, but this is the only method left," Rias interrupted before he could even finish his sentence. "Method for what? I can't see where this is leading to," Issei erratically continued as he tried to get her attention. "If there is evidence, then they can't complain about it. The only person close to me who is able to do it with me is you," Rias continued like she didn't even hear him. "There are things you still lack in, but you seem to have the potential." Rias's fingertip touched Issei's cheek. With her touch, he felt something mysterious running through his body. "You are the only one who would do it as soon as I ask and will go till the end," Rias said as she kept her finger on his cheek. "Be Baku," Issei cried out as he felt his reason disappear and he finally understood why. She was sending signals into his unconsciousness. Stop, what are you doing?" Issei said as he tried to move away from her, but she was too quick. Rias approached him and pushed him down onto the bed before she began to horse ride him. She planted herself down on top of his manhood, which was cozingly nuzzled between her bottom and thighs. Her crimson hair fell down on his body and his face. The smell of her crimson hair began to unwillingly excite him. Catchick, the sound of her bra being unhooked, her pink nipples were already erect. "This is your first time, right Eyes, or do you already have experience?" Rias impatiently asked. It's my first time," he forcefully answered as he fought against the control. "I see, it's my first time as well, so let's do it till the end even if both of us have no experience. It's all right, it's very simple, you just have to put it inside here," Rias answered as her hand guided his eyes. She touched her important part with her finger. It was so stimulating that Issei's brain was about to burst from the conflicting signals. On one hand he was a pervert, but on the other he silently suffered. Then Rias took his right hand and pressed it on her left breast before asking, "Do you realize it?" with a charming voice. "I'm also nervous, you can tell by my heartbeat, right?" she spurted on when Issei didn't reply. "B Baku is also nervous," Issei thought, "but why? Now it's time for you to lose your clothes as well," Rias interrupted him again as she began to fumble with his belt. But, Raynare, I'm not ready for this," Issei softly said as his heart was still unsure whether he wanted to go through with what was happening. "Is that what you were mumbling about? Eyes, Raynare is dead, let go of it," Rias angrily said as she ripped his pants off. It was the first time since meeting Rias that he was afraid of her. Even when he was in the Orc for the first time he wasn't afraid. She wasn't the usual Baku he knew. "Did you forget how I was murdered by Raynare, before you rudely stitched my heart back together, even though it never stopped the bleeding?" Issei thought with a pained and fearful look on his face. "Is this the real Baku I'm seeing now?" There he saw her now, right in front of him, inching closer with a dark smile and whispered in his ears, "It was fun, the short time I spent with you." Instead of Raynare, it was Rias who got her face close to Issei's and whispered, "Are you trying to embarrass me?" She channeled a small amount of her demonic energy in her eyes to strengthen her question and to intimidate him. That's when Issei realized that Rias wasn't about to care for his feelings on the matter and use him like Raynare did. He could even imagine Raynare's evil grin on her face. It was like playing house with a little child. "What are you waiting for? Eyes, do it quickly," Rias commanded her pawn. When he still wouldn't move and was shaking, not from excitement but from fear, Rias decided to take matters into her own hands and grabbed Issei by the shoulders before she put him down against his bed. "On my bed, there is a fully naked girl on top of me. She's saying that I can do her," Issei thought with an unfocused and faraway look, but there was nothing but liquid ice in his veins, stopping him from making any movement. "Grr, fine, I will do it myself," Rias angrily said to the petrified Issei. She was about to make her body engulf Issei's manhood inch by inch but stopped when a sudden flash appeared in the room. Seeing that, Baku sighed. "Looks like I was a bit late," Rias said as she stared at the magic circle with disgust even though the symbol on the magic circle was from the Grimoire group. "Who is it? Kiba, Akeno-san, Kaneko-chan?" Issei thought. Wait, no matter who it is, getting caught in this situation is bad. But Issei's prediction was wrong, and the person who appeared from the magic circle was someone he had never seen before. She was a beautiful woman appearing to be in her early 20s, with silver hair and matching eyes. Her hair, which flowed all the way down to her back, featured a long braid on each side with small blue bows at the ends while the rest is let down, ending in twin braids. She wore a blue and white French-maid outfit with sleeves and a white maid headband over her head. The beautiful silver-haired maid spoke silently after understanding the situation that was happening in front of her. "Are you trying to break the agreement by doing something like this?" the maid said plainly as if she was astonished. Baku twitched her eyebrows hearing that. "If I don't go this far, both Otu-sama and Oniai-sama won't listen to me, right?" she inquired. "Both Sirex-sama and the master will become sad after they find out that you tried to give your purity to some lowly person like this," the maid calmly replied as she began to collect Rias' clothing. Master, Sirek-sama, who is it? From what Baku said, is it her father and her brother? So Baku has a brother, Issei thought as he began to calm down from her forceful actions, but lowly, she's talking about me, right? My purity is mine only, what's wrong with giving it to someone whom I acknowledge? Also don't call my cute servant lowly, even if it's you, I won't forgive you, Grayfia, Rias angrily said to the stoic maid. The woman called Grayfia picked up Rias's bra. Anyway, you are the next heiress of the House of Grimoire, so please don't show your skin to a man recklessly, even more so if you are in the middle of this situation, Grayfia said. She then puts the bra on Baku's body. The woman looked at me, she then bowed her head down. How do you do? I'm a maid that serves the House of Grimoire, my name is Grayfia, pleased to make your acquaintance. The elixir of life within Issei began to flow slower and slower when his body acknowledged his unspoken command to focus each and every resource on the unparalleled beauty in front of him. He looked at her walking towards him and realized that somehow the rest of the world seemed to vanish before his eyes. The woman stopped in front of the staring Issei and looked at him, patiently waiting for an answer. Issei, however, said nothing. His eyes were completely captivated, enthralled and bewitched by her appearance as her silver eyes captured his soul with her gaze. Beautiful snow-white skin like it was frozen in time as her silver pearls slowly grew confused at his silence. But what hit Issei the most, was the loneliness that hid behind them. Rias, who had enough of her pawn's constant disobedience, made it known that his intimate gaze was unwelcomed. Pinch, and the magic was broken. After having stopped her lecherous pawn, Rias asked, Grayfia, did you come here of your own accord? Or because the household sent you, or is it only Isama? All of them, Grayfia replied. Is that so? You, who is brother's queen, came to the human world personally, so it can only be one thing. I understand, Baku said and picked her clothes up. She puts her arm through her clothes, her naked body was getting covered. I'm sorry, eyes, let's make it so that the thing from earlier never happened. I wasn't thinking straight either, let's forget about today's incident, Rias said. Ah, so it's over then, well, I don't know what's going on either, but I know that I'm happy it is, Issei thought as the stress and fear left his body. Eyes, wait, is this person? Grayfia said. Grayfia-san looked at me with a shocked expression. I never expected a woman like her to be this shocked, Issei thought. Yes, Hudo Issei, my pawn, the user of the boosted gear, Rias proudly said. Boosted gear, the one possessed by the Emperor of Dragons, the maid muttered out loud. What is it? Issei said suddenly as Grayfia started to look at him as if she's looking at something extraordinary. Grayfia, let's go back to my room, I will listen to what you have to say over there. Akeno can also attend, right? Rias said in between. The Priestess of Thunder, I don't mind, it's a must for high-class devils to have their queen by their side all the time. Very well, eyes, Rias said to get his undivided attention. She walked towards him and pressed her lips on his cheeks for a few seconds. Please forgive me for today with this, I troubled you a lot, let's meet again in the clubroom tomorrow, Rias continued and stepped back. She gave a final farewell and disappeared in the magic circle together with Grayfia. Issei was the only one left in the room now, standing there while touching the cheek where he was kissed. The small smile and fake attitude he wore like a mask came crumbling down with their departure. Issei slowly collapsed on the ground as he gripped his throbbing heart. Why couldn't you just ask me, he thought. The adoration and trust Issei had for Rias were broken beyond recognition as she managed to slowly shred his throbbing heart once more. Even as a no-good pervert I let myself get hurt, Issei said as his shaking form lied on the ground. He groaned when he lifted himself up. I can't believe I couldn't do anything to stop her, Issei thought as he remembered her manipulating his mind. Why would you step on a scarred heart, Baku? In that moment, Issei promised himself to never feel so helpless again. The breath Issei didn't need to take was caught in his dry throat after softly uttering her name. Grayfia-san, who had no time to spare, took out a single paper. There was a magic circle written on it. This magic circle allows you to teleport to the hall of the engagement party of the House of Grimoire and House of Phoenix, she said and handed Issei the paper. Why is she giving me this? Issei thought as he recognized the Grimoire seal. I have a message from Sirek-sama for you, Grayfia continued, taking Issei out of his thoughts. She paused for a second and then spoke with a serious expression. If you want to save my sister, barge into the hall, that's what he said. There is also another magic circle on the back of the paper, please use it when you take back Aju-sama, I am definitely sure that it will be useful to you, Grayfia said before she finished her explanation. Issei didn't know how to respond. Grayfia then stood up and tried to leave his room. No, he suddenly whispered, halting Grayfia in her step, I won't fight for Baku anymore. What do you mean, Issei-sama? The baffled Grayfia asked as she turned around. Issei's mind was continuously assaulted the past days with images from the night where he lost his trust in his king. A voice no one had ever heard Issei use, a voice filled with hate said, you saw it yourself, what happened that night? She does not care about how I felt then, so why should I care now? Grayfia could see the signs of conflict behind his doubtful eyes and decided to tell him a story she had kept to herself for a long, long time. Issei-sama, please listen closely, Grayfia calmly said and began to speak. Hundreds of years ago, during the war, there were two devil factions. The faction of the current government and the Old Mao faction. I fought and bled for my faction, the Old Mao faction, and continued to do so till I fought a certain man. We battled countless of times and slowly I fell in love with him. His sweet words convinced me to defect from my faction and follow him into battle. Through my image of him, I didn't see the lies behind those same sweet words, so the second I stepped into their camp, one was imprisoned and killed before being reincarnated by the same man. I've lived in solitude for a century, closing my heart for all affairs of love and attachment out of fear. Even though he begged for my forgiveness, I can't and I will never forgive him. Thanks for watching this video. Part 1 is over. If you really enjoyed this video, like, subscribe and comment down this video.